There are 10 listed here. We do understand that one of the lifters, originally number 6, is out, so there are actually 9 in this group. We did have a scratch prior to the start of the competition. And as we enter the warm-up room here, we're down to our final 2 A sessions of the Worlds. I can't believe it's gone so fast. And, you know, when we get to the seniors or the supers here in the U.S., we start talking about the idea or the hopes of a medal. But right now we have lifter number 1. This is Christina Mogat. She's lifting here at her 4th Senior Worlds. She hasn't been at a Senior World since 2011, so it's good to see her back at this level. And then here is our entry from the U.S. Olympic bronze medalist Sarah Robles. Sarah did 286 kilos at the Olympics, just 1 kilo shy of the American record. We have Cheryl here with us to hopefully cheer in support, a big number for Sarah en route to her first medals at the World Championships. Now we have Chaidi Dongyaksen of Thailand. She is the 2017 Junior Asian Champion. Best ever total is 265, so if she can improve off that, she'll be a factor here. And here's our lifter from Poland, Mieczewska, 227 kilo total earlier this year. She's entered with 240. And then here is Shaima Haridi of Egypt. Her best ever is 278, and she's going to be, I think, a player for any color medal in this competition. She's definitely one of the lifters to watch. Now we have Lizeth Aovi, 1997, final competition as a junior. She was the Junior Pan Am champion this year. 4th at Senior Pan Ams, but she did go 6 for 6 with a 252 kilo total. And you'll see when she comes out, generally a very consistent lifter, makes almost all of her attempts on the competition platform, and always fun to watch. Now here is Tanya Mascaro. She was a bronze medalist at the Pan Ams. She is coming off a 263 kilo performance at the Central American and Caribbean Championships. Snatched 114. I think she's opening heavier than that here or around there, so she'll be a factor. And then we have Chitanuk Pulsabaskul of Thailand, second Thai lifter in this group. This is her 4th Senior World. She is very experienced, and she probably has the highest total recorded of anyone in this group. And then our final lifter here is Laurel Hubbard of New Zealand. Bit of a controversial entry, but Laurel has been cleared by the IOC and therefore the IWF to enter in this competition. She has competed internationally before, and right now she is slated with the heaviest opener in the snatch, so absolutely a contender for a medal. And I said that a couple of times in terms of contention for medals. I think there's probably about 5, maybe even 6 of the 9 lifters in this group that, you know, can play for something. So this should be a lot of fun. And we're about a minute away of calling our first lifters to the platform. So Cheryl, I'd like to throw it to you, get a few thoughts on this group and what you're hoping to see.
I'm just smiling to myself right now because it's bringing back, in commentating on the other sessions, you know, it's not the same. I didn't realize it was going to feel this way, but I feel like I should be back there warming up or something. It's like kind of freaking me out a little bit. I feel like I'm missing something. But at a competition like this, and I said it before, and it seems obvious, but it's about making your lifts. The lifter who comes out, controls the opening attempt, and just makes lifts is going to end up on the podium here. And there are no guarantees. There's a lot of psychological warfare happening back there. These lifters checking each other out, and it's about confidence at this point.
All right, so we are about ready to begin. The first lifter, 98 kilos. It's going to be Aleksandra Mieczewska of Poland. And and she was in split at the Europeans. She snatched 100 kilos there in a 3-for-3 series.
It's an easy opener.
Very workmanlike.
So with this, we'll probably see, I think, a 2-minute clock and a repeat. She's going to have to go. Well, somebody made a change. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very, very solid there. And getting those jitters out by nailing down that first lift, and that's very important.
So as soon as a change goes in here, we will call probably Christina Mago of Hungary for her first attempt, 100 kilos. Alexandra moved up to 102. And you like seeing that because what that means is we are not starting this competition off with a couple of 2-minute clocks.
Right.
And if you get a couple of makes to start things off, the flow can begin. And this is something, Sean, that we've talked about a few times.
Yeah.
You want the lifters ahead of you at the beginning of the string to make lifts.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday with the men's 105, I mean, they didn't really start get going until the second attempts of the clean and jerk.
Right.
You know, before then it was just a sludge.
It didn't have a feel.
No, but then as soon as they started making lifts, the energy changed in the room.
Absolutely. So now here is Christina Mogat of Hungary. First attempt, 100 kilos.
That's all right. Like to see a little bit more speed off the hips, though. Just gets a little muddled there. Kind of all one speed. Sean and I were talking about this just the other day about that change in speed you want to see at the hip. So it hesitates just a little bit there.
And you can get away with it with certain weights, and then at some point you can't get away with it.
Right.
So
again, maybe chalking that up to getting out here in this different atmosphere, in these lights, in front of these cameras, in front of this audience, and getting that first one in. Sometimes it's not as aggressive as you'd like to see.
Right. You hold it back a little bit, try to counteract the nerves. There could be a million things going on in your head.
All right. So now it looks like 102 kilos for the second attempt of Aleksandra Mieczewska of Poland.
I don't know if the Backstreet Boys is something that's going to fire me up, but this is the Backstreet Boys, right?
I'm glad I don't know.
I think so. I think so.
I'm old. I don't follow these things.
All right, looks like Alexandra's 2 for 2.
It's pretty solid as well.
Yeah.
Perhaps a little more jumping back on that than the first attempt. You can never really tell until after the replay on that angle.
Can't
A little
really
hard to say, but
Solid.
well within her capabilities for sure.
All right, so now we seem to have a little go back and forth between these first two lifters.
All right.
103 kilos is now going to be called for the second attempt of Christina Mogat of Hungary. Opened with 100 kilos, made it.
The fighting is starting early. It's good.
Easy. Fight!
Oh.
Just a bit in front. And Sean, something I noticed here, if you looked at Bogat, when she started the lift, you can see her shins were scraped. Did you notice on the lifter before, in her socks when she started the bar off the ground, the streak of chalk that went up her leg?
Yeah.
That's kind of why you sometimes want to wear higher socks, or maybe even now that you can wear the unitard. It actually protects your leg if you ride it up along it. Did you guys have that problem? Did you?
I'd get a little bump every now and again, but I was pretty okay with my shins not getting too scraped.
Were it a bleeder? You held your butt?
Well, I wasn't a bleeder. I had more trouble with the other stuff, the callus tearing and that sort of thing. But my shins were okay. Now I'm not saying I don't have 2 little scars there after years and years of doing it, but yeah, some lifters are definitely, because of their technique, a little more susceptible to that sort of thing.
Usually an indicator of leaning back at the start, and sometimes when you have that, I mean, it's so hard to get that healed up because you're training every day.
I mean, excuse me, I had staph infection twice in my
wow. Okay.
From it, so.
Yeah, I've seen lifters with that as well. You got to be careful with that. I mean, a lot of different hands on this bar, or barbells in the gym in general. So important lesson here, kids.
Yes, very important.
Wear high socks.
And I also taught myself not to go back so far off the floor.
All right, so now we are back to our third attempt. 104 kilos, Aleksandra Mierczewska of Poland.
Ustaw się, dokładnie. Klata i w górę. Dawaj zdecydowanie. Bardzo ważne. Łapiesz i ciągniesz się mocno w górę. Cały gaz, dawaj porządnie.
Oh, goodness.
Boy, I tell you, I don't know how she missed that.
You know what? That looked okay to me too, Sean. Let's take a look at the replay. We're at a great angle here at the commentator's booth off to the side, but I still got to see this one again. I think maybe that little jump back finally caught up to her.
Bar was in the right spot, but she wasn't.
Exactly.
But still a PR for her at best. Her previous best was 101, I believe.
Yes.
So
that's not bad.
That's not a bad day.
Satisfied with that, right?
PR at the World Championships is a pretty good day.
Yeah, it is. Every time.
All right, so now we are going to stay with 104 kilos. This time it is Kristina Bogat of Hungary. This is her third attempt. Missed 103 on her second attempt to move up a kilo.
Couldn't quite hang on.
Not an explosive second pull, kind of more of a push.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see like more of a punch than a push.
I agree. Maybe from the knee when she's coming back into the power position, just lags a little bit.
Yes, I agree.
And never really gets that pop I would like to hear.
Sometimes, you know, if the lifter lacks posterior chain strength, you know, hamstring and glute strength, they can't really bring those hips explosively to the bar.
Right.
Well, if you want to see explosive movement with that punch out,
see it right now.
You will see it right now with Lizeth.
I saw her lift at Pan Am's. She was fun to watch.
3 for 3 series there. She opened with 103 at the Pan Am's in July in Miami. Finished with 112, made that. Here she is opening with 107 at the World Championships.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's speed.
That's a good lift there for Iovi, and I hope we see 4 or 5 kilo type jumps from her, because if we do, she could be a factor in this thing for a medal. I mean, just look at that.
That's an incredible opening attempt.
Yep.
You know, I can never wear my belt snatching because the bar would actually get caught on the belt. So it's always interesting to me.
Was it the buckle or the belt, or just the belt in general?
The belt in general, because I kick like right around my belly button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And by kick, I mean where the bar actually is making contact with my body.
Yeah, you had a relatively wide grip, so that means the connection point on your body.
And short arms.
Short arms, more importantly.
I made a comment about your jerk the other day when you had the bar overhead. I mean, your elbows are like lined up with your head.
They're like at eyeball level.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible.
It made it a heck of a lot easier, and I had a wide grip on the barbell in the dirt, too.
Helps you cover less ground.
Yes.
It does.
All right, so right now we're running a 2-minute clock on Lizeth Iovi. She has elected 1:11. She would need to go to 1:13 to get another lifter on the platform.
She could.
She could, but it does look like for now that she's going to make a quick turn and come back out here and do this.
And that's fine. I mean, she's I don't think she's in the mix to win, but she certainly, there's a bunch of lifters in the same area, and she's one of those lifters. So every lift is going to count. You don't want to give something away.
Right.
20 years old.
Something to be said about just going ahead and doing your own thing and making your own lifts, and then letting everybody else try to make up the difference.
All right, so now here is Lizeth Iovi, 111 kilos. Her best is 112. So you got to figure if she makes this, she'll position herself nicely for a PR attempt. Should be good to go there with 111 kilos.
I'd like to see her get set a little bit better. I don't want to see her get in a situation where she's rushing and not taking her time from the floor, but she's still strong enough to make that work.
And by rushing, you're talking about when she drops her hips, she immediately goes. That is a style that some lifters use, but the reason why you don't like it is...
Well, the same dynamic sort of start I actually employed as well, but it's just really easy to kind of get excited, drop the hips, and right when you're going to lift the bar, the hips are actually a bit higher than they normally are.
So you can create variability and inconsistency.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, at Waxman's Gym with powerlifters, we teach a still start. And I don't, because to your point, you introduce variability to the start position. I don't want that. I want the lifter to set, stretch up with the legs, pause, and then go.
Yeah.
And do the same thing every time.
And that's ideal. I would never necessarily teach this sort of a style.
But people do.
It's cool looking, though.
It is. It's unpredictable, though, or unpredictable.
You see a guy like Ronnie Weller who would just, walk up to the bar, slam down his hips and go, or Wes Barnett in the clean and jerk.
Well, he was a dive star.
He would dive star. He'd walk up to the bar and just dive down and pick up the bar without any
That's
pause.
discombobulating for me, just visually, just watching.
I played around with it. You play around with it in training, and I don't know how you do it.
That would have been bad news for me. Grabbing the bar an inch the wrong way on one side versus the other, and it's a no lift for me.
All right, so while we were going through some of that technique stuff, it looks like a couple of changes went in, and it looks like the lifter the coaches from Ecuador didn't realize that another lifter dropped down to 113. Mascoro had
burning the clock on her.
And her clock got messed up, and it went back to her, but I don't think they gave her a new clock. So as of now, the clock has expired on the third attempt of Iovi. No lift has been called, and let's see what they decide to do. We do see an official coming back, so it looks like a change didn't go in, and it's a possibility that we'll revert back here. In the meantime, the next weight is going to be called. But based on the way that this conversation's going, I do think we might see a break for Lizeth Iovi. They may give her a break.
I hope so.
I hope so as well. You don't like to see these technical things. You want to see a lifter at least be able to grab hold of the barbell and see what happens.
And the other thing, if you are the lifter...
The number is right. They are saying that the clock should have reset for 1 minute.
They're claiming the clock didn't reset for 1 minute.
The time ran down, they're saying for Mexico, but not for the lifter that was
So it seems that the Ecuadorians are claiming that they put the change in.
No, the next lifter, I don't mean to correct you there, but I think I heard it a little differently. So another lifter was introduced at 113, a 1 minute clock started and ticked. It ticked down. And then that lifter moved to 115, and Lizeth Aovi was called. And what they're claiming is Lizeth did not get a new 1 minute clock.
Gotcha.
And if that's the case, she's got an argument here.
Right. If that is true, she needs a new clock.
But in the meantime, the lifter is sitting there waiting.
Just getting iced. So this, you know.
And this happens on occasion. I remember this happened at the World Championship with a Ukrainian lifter and myself in 2005. And these stops this competition, and we were going for medals at that point. You just got to sit and
all right,
focus.
so I think I saw the motion of no lift as he was stepping out. So the claim there of the clock not being reset was not a winning argument there from the Ecuadorian. So that means the clock expired on the third attempt of Lizeth Aovi at 1:13, and she is going to be recorded as having no lift, and that is just a shame that that happened.
You know, when they realized that, there was still about 38 seconds, I think about 38 seconds.
Yeah, but they just thought the clock was wrong. They didn't send her out. You got to send her out.
You got to send her out. You got to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a. Either way, that's a mistake by the coaching staff.
Yeah. All right, so now here's Chaidi Dongyaksan of Thailand, also a junior. This is her last competition as a junior. She's opening here with 115. Her best ever is 117. She did that in Tokyo last year at the Asian Championships. All right, no lift here at 115, and sometimes we talk about what lifters do in the back, all right, and coming out here, and you can turn it around and change things, and unfortunately here, she misses this 115 opener. She also tried it in the back and missed it, and she missed her prior warm-up at 110 before that.
That's pretty close, though. I think she can come back out and make that. It doesn't look too heavy.
Hopefully she does. Now, in the meantime, here is Shema Haridi of Egypt. This is her first attempt.
صب حديد حبيبي يا رسول الله يا الله
Beautiful.
That's very nice.
That was great.
Very nicely done.
Cheryl, when you were competing at a competition of this stature, did it matter to you how your warm-ups went, or it didn't matter?
You know what? Not necessarily. I have missed last attempt warm-ups in the back room, and literally it doesn't matter until you're out here on this platform.
Okay.
So psychologically, you can allow it to happen, but I would shrug it off and say, let me at the platform.
Great.
Which is why you were one of the best in the world. All right, so now here is Mascoro of Mexico. This is her first attempt.
Wow, a little head throw there.
Yeah, she gets a big extension. Her face ends up facing the ceiling, really.
115 kilos. Floaters, 115 kilos.
And we were talking before, some lifters do that, although we prefer, or I prefer, a little bit more vertical than
I'm with you.
Than backward.
You know,
and she's fast enough.
And you get it all. And Sean, you mentioned, I forget which session, the changes in different body types and looks and feels amongst. But we have people who throw their head back. You have people who land right in place. You have people who lean their head forward. I mean, you know what you prefer to teach, but at the end of the day, right, like if it works for that athlete,
right,
may not be what you would teach, but that was a nice effort there and a very strong opener for Mascoro.
And you only want to spend so much time trying to change that with an athlete. You know, you give it a go and they still do it, then maybe it's something you're left with.
All right, so now we are back to Chaidi Dongyaksan.
So she's in a little bit of a hole here, especially from how things have gone in the back.
Mr. Opener with 115. Here she is, second attempt, same weight.
Beautiful composure.
She almost overextended again, but she did exactly what she needed to do. Lock down, hold that bottom position until she restabilizes, and then standing up with the bar.
That's a great comeback off of this, and we did get word that her series was a struggle in the back, but this is just a professional effort right there.
To be followed by Mascoro, Mexico, at the same weight.
Interesting focal point. Generally, a lifter's going to stare.
Yeah, she was looking down.
At least eye level, but she was looking down. You don't see that very often.
This is the first time we're seeing Pulse Saba School.
Oh, a little bit of a jump back.
Yeah.
And this is a very light opener for her. She is one of the toughest supers in the world.
The second attempt.
Didn't look like she extended well. Maybe there's something bugging her. She had a little grimace on her face.
I mean, this is a lifter who's opened on multiple occasions with weights like north of 125.
Maybe something up with her.
Number 8, 117.
Yeah, sometimes even if you're injured, not in prime shape, it's still worth it for you and your country to attend an event like this, because maybe that still makes you the top super and still in contention for a medal.
Which she is.
Not at,
Which she absolutely is.
Exactly, even though she's not at her best, but hopefully she can secure that second attempt.
And, you know, we look at these stats and we look at the expectations and we know what some of these lifters are capable of, and we always want them to do more, but that's just not reality. I mean, you know, it's not a straight line up.
I mean, case in point, Rostimi from the Islamic Republic of Iran, not in the best shape, but he showed up and
almost won.
And almost won.
All right, so now we are back to Sihanouk Pulse Saba School of Thailand.
Something's up with her.
Yeah, she looks like she's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
No lid. 116 kilos. She still has a third attempt.
Now, does she risk injury, dig deep, make it happen, and you know, survive for the clean and jerks, or does she withdraw? It really just depends on what we're talking about.
Well, she is on a 2-minute clock to have to make that decision, and we've seen a lot of gambling. We've seen a lot of moving up off of misses, and Sean, I don't think that we've seen anything from the first 2 attempts here that would indicate the move up would be a good idea.
Well, I mean,
I think I just heard 117. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said it would be a good idea if they can give her more recovery or do something to treat what's going on. It depends. I mean, supers, being a super, rest. It's not like the other weight classes. Even the snatches can be a little fatiguing, a little bit.
And you can eat 1 kilo for breakfast.
Yeah.
As a super.
Yeah, I've had some snatches make me tired.
All right, so
there.
Briefly introduced, she has since moved up to 118, so now it's going to go to Mascoro. I don't think Mascoro will be staying here. That's a 2 kilo increment from her first attempt, so there's the change going in there by the Mexican coach. And that's going to call back Pulse Saba School. So, I mean, really, at the end of the day, those quick little changes, she could have just used her 2-minute clock.
Right.
And that's where, you know, that's what happens sometimes. But now, off of 2 misses, that didn't look great. She's got another kilo on the bar, and she's following herself anyway. So hopefully she can pull this off.
No, that hurts too much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, hopefully it's something that that is not a mystery and that she can get treated, a little bit of rest. At the end of these training cycles, these lifters have done these weights or similar weights repeatedly with heavy pulling, with heavy squatting, and sometimes you just get broken down a little bit too soon before you're able to actually be on the stage. So Don't like to see it, but it happens.
So that's a benefit, obviously, to the rest of the field, because you have to think that Pulsava School was an absolute contender. I just think she had one of the heaviest slated clean and jerks, and now she's out of this competition. And Sarah Robles, who was probably not unaware of what just happened, knows that if she puts this away, she's going to be on the medal stand, I think.
Action. Let's go.
Let's hope.
Roll the wrist. Let's go.
Lock this opener in.
Speed.
And that's exactly how it's done. That's a relief. I think she's letting them know that there's blood on the bar, which needs to be cleaned for the safety of the athletes, but that's a very nice lift.
118 kilo start.
Mexico, this is her second attempt.
She hasn't opened this heavy since the Olympics, where she went 6 for 6.
Oh, okay.
And turned in a special performance. So progress of Sarah, what she has done since the Olympics and winning that medal, I think has been terrific. When we see her back, we can get into a little bit about what she did post-Olympics, took some time, got right back into competition and built. And it looks like she has done a series of meets to get her to peak for today. Because if she's opening with 118, you've got to believe that she's ready to play big. All right, so now Mascoro is the lifter. This is her second attempt, 4 kilo jump, and will move her ahead of Sarah Robles.
That takes a tremendous amount of strength, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it does. And that's my biggest fear with the head getting thrown back, is that you get that little bit of swing sometimes on the bar.
Right, and the bar ends up moving laterally behind you instead of straight up and straight back down on top. And those elbows can only handle so much.
Well,
and grabbing hold of that bar and having to pull it back forward is difficult. She did it.
Hubbard next.
All right, so here is Chaidi of Thailand. She made 115 on her second attempt. If successful here, this will move her into second behind Mascoro, but position her very nicely for the clean and jerk competition.
Oh, not quite. I think just a better extension on that second pull, keeping the bar a little bit closer. She could have had that, but a no lift there.
So she will finish the day 1 for 3, 115 kilos from her second attempt, and you have to think that 4 kilo swing might come back to bite later. That was a crucial lift, I think, in this meet. So right now, 120 kilos is going to be loaded, and Laurel Hubbard will be the lifter. First attempt.
Hubbard, New Zealand.
Now, Sarah is a tall athlete. Hubbard seems to be quite tall as well. Not always the easiest to be the taller competitor, even amongst the super heavyweights.
The taller you are, the further the bar's got to move.
Yep.
So
You can probably see a collar-to-collar grip here.
It's pretty easy. Never seen Laurel lift, but that's a solid snatch.
120 kilos, good lift. And that will move her for now into the lead.
I think she's being a little conservative, sitting down here. She seems to have the bar, but just wants to be doubly sure on that balance before she stands up.
And this is within her, I think, at the Commonwealth Championships, I think 130 was what she did. So that could be a path we see her tracking toward. In the meantime, we are back toward Hariri. Made her opener with 115. So we'll move her into second.
بطل 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 بطل. يلا عاش.
Surprised she missed that.
Yeah, the first lift was really, really strong. Maybe a little bit of extra weight time there. We did have a lot of attempts between her first and her second attempt. But important lifts all coming up. These snatches are going to determine who's on the medal podium.
We have 4 lifters with attempts remaining right now. 120 kilos. Laurel Hubbard is the lead. 120, if it stays on, will not move ahead of that. Any lifter who wants to color up, so to speak, or even get on the platform must do more than 121.
And sometimes we think about medal contention as people coming out of nowhere and lifting huge, huge weights. Sometimes to get the medal, you end up doing a little bit less than you were going to in the competition.
Yeah, very often, you mentioned earlier, you keep your head down and just make lifts, and you look up and there you are in the lead.
Right.
Well, Hariri is going to have to do it on a short clock. Another lifter was introduced. She's following herself, so it is just a 1-minute clock here.
انت عايز انت عايز. بقى عندي ثقة في نفسي. اطلع لفوق اطلع لفوق. اهي.
Oh, goodness. Just a little falter with the left elbow.
Yeah.
And I think even from here, I can see on the bar, they're going to have to clean that up. Just not noticing it. And when the loaders go toward the bar, the lights are off, so it's kind of hard for them to notice. It looks like Robles is making a change here.
Number 2, 122.
So she's moved up to 122, it looks like. That'll put Mascoro on the bar. That would be a 2-kilo jump, right? Yeah, there's the change. I was just about to say it. I don't think she'll do that.
Number 8, 122.
Floater is 122 kilos.
So now it goes back to Sarah Robles.
Mascoro is requesting more. That means Sarah Robles, 122 kilos.
And Sean, if you were wondering,
Mascoro next.
it was 120, right, that she did in Rio on her second. 122, this is the exact string she took. This is 22.
This is a good call. As for the strategy of what is happening here, she does not need to do more than that for this purpose.
Speed! Speed past the
And this
knees.
will
Let's
move
go.
her into the lead.
Then it'll force Mascaro, if she wants to beat her, to take 123.
That's right.
Push hard, Sarah. Speed past the knee. Let's go.
And that's a darn near power snatch.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lighter lift than her opener with
Ready
118.
to lift weights. That's excellent. Very nicely done. Almost threw it out of her own hands.
Yeah.
It was so powerful.
Floaters 122, please.
Yeah, I
Third
agree.
and final attempt.
Yeah, she just, and I've had snatches like that where you go, oh, wait, there it is. And that's what she does. She's ready to compete today, and that's really, really excellent to see.
Well, the way, you know, you can all speak to this as we've all been there before. The speed out on that platform is so different than anything else, and you almost, it's difficult sometimes to stay connected to the bar,
Right,
without just dropping, you know, because everything is moving so fast.
Right, and it's chemical too. You're full of adrenaline.
Mascoro, Mexico.
All right.
And yeah, and these weights feel different. The electricity in the air is incredible.
All right, so now we're back to Mascoro, 123 kilos. As you mentioned, Sean, this will move her into the lead.
And force Sarah to take 124 if...
Probably Hubbard. Yes, which Hubbard has.
Oh. I just looked a bit too heavy for her. And again, leaning back and disengaging with the barbell, she loses all of her power when those shoulders get behind the bar like that, and there's not really anything you can do with it.
So now Sarah can come out with this and play for silver. or 124 forces Hubbard to go to 125.
Which is what Sarah's going to do. She's going to go to that 24. And by the way, Moscoro, with that third attempt miss, will be credited with 119, which will guarantee her a bronze in the snatch. And now to your, the game play, pretty standard here. 124 kilos moves into the lead. Hubbard on her second attempt. Obviously, this is what she will take, and she's going to try to do just that. We'll see how Sarah reacts based on the outcome. Look for Robles to burn Hubbard's clock if she misses.
Yep.
Almost loses it forward.
Yeah.
She's very happy that she didn't. Again, you see that confidence in the bottom position. She's very, very patient. It's really easy to want to stand up with that as fast as you can, but it's not always the wisest decision. So she clamps down. A little bit of scrape on that shin.
You can see the blood.
The bar. Yeah. But she's able to control that and stand straight up.
And you got to think that that looked pretty close to a max effort. So what's the gameplay here for Sarah Robles? Does she go 25?
I think you got to go 20. Well,
and she is. There you go.
Right.
And what you're doing is, if you make this, you're forcing Hubbard to make a decision for silver or for 126. And I got to say, I think at 126, here's the gold medal lift, I think is my...
Right. I think you're right about that. I think that's a good assessment. And also, remember, to be the world champion, you need the total medal. So she's adding kilos to her clean and jerk, what she'll have to do less later.
Right, and Sarah is solid in the clean and jerk. She's amongst the top of this group. So, you play the game because you're in it, but ultimately you're playing for the total. And when I say you're in it, you're in the snatch competition now. You are going to play this game out a little bit, and you are within Sarah's abilities. She's done 126.
Yes.
And Shahima's really not in contention for the gold in the winning the total, because her snatch.
That miss really hurt.
Yeah, she's really so far behind in the snatch.
Yeah. She's going to. So this could potentially be a gold medal lift right now for Sarah Robles. If she puts this away, the outcome won't be in her hands, but she could be a gold medalist at the World Championships if successful right here.
Finish this thing. Finish it. Come on.
That's
126 was good for third in Rio. She doesn't know the down signal came. There it is. It was good for third in Rio. It is good for now, first place.
Yes,
at least silver.
You shut out everything that's happening, and she's so obsessed with hanging on to the bar steadily she doesn't even hear the buzzer.
It's a great example of focus.
Yes.
It's really...
She's in the zone right here. She's like, I'm not putting this down until everybody says it's okay.
It was almost a surprise.
Hubbard.
All right, so now we are down to our final lift of the session. Laurel Hubbard, 127 kilos. Made her opener with 20, made her second with 24. Guaranteed silver for Hubbard. This is a gold medal attempt, but as we said, that 24 looked like it was close to a max effort.
She's got to be aggressive and also focus in on that technique. Whoa. Whoa, almost. There you have it. That was a nice fight. Sarah Robles ending up with the gold medal there in the snatch with 126 kilos. So exciting. Hey, she's got to shut her brain off, though, and she's going to start thinking about clean and jerks.
So that means Sarah Robles is our gold medalist at the 2017 World Championships in the snatch. We're halfway through this.
When was the last time anybody uttered those words from the U.S. winning a gold medal at the Worlds?
It was a while. I got to think about that.
I don't even know.
I'm clueless.
I mean, we might have to go back to Paul
69?
Anderson.
But no,
I think there's a tome somewhere that needs to be dusted off and cracked open.
all right, so there is our bronze medalist, Tanya Mascoro of Mexico. Sarah Robles got it done.
Having a snack.
Very important.
3 for 3 in the snatch. 118, 122, 126.
Keep going on over there.
I'm jealous.
I don't know about that.
Well, I encourage my athletes to eat in between snatch and clean and jerk. I think a little bit of food in the belly is good for getting out of the heavy cleans.
Yep. Yep. Completely agree.
So here is the result table for the snatch competition in the women's plus 90 category. Make your lifts.
Right.
Make your lifts.
The third attempt is what ultimately made this happen for Sarah Robles, and that third attempt is something of a bugaboo for the rest of the field. So interesting series, nice competition. Congratulations to Sarah.